In our series of pre-election segments, we continue our interviews with candidates for Suffolk County Register of Deeds. Tonight's guest is the former city councilor at large, Steve Murphy. Thank you very much for being with us.
Chris, thanks for having me.
Good to see you again. Talk about this campaign. After all these years, you've been city councilor. What is it about this office that makes you want to do it?
Well, it's a vacant office for one, and it's an important office. And people don't realize it's kind of a low tier, low visibility office, but it's very, very important. Most people in their lifetimes, their most important asset is going to be the purchase of their home. And the security of the title of that home is of paramount importance. And that's got to be recorded and managed at the Registry of Deeds at each county level. So it's a very, very important office, albeit low key. And I'm coming to this race as someone who has extensive public management experience. I think I may be the only of the 7 candidates that has actually managed a public agency, which is what the Registry of Deeds is. And I think I'm well suited to lead it into the next few years.
I got to flag one thing here. You did get in some trouble a year ago or so about a management decision about hiring an aide in the council. Mm-hmm. It was somebody who had been fired from his job as a clerk magistrate, and there was a court report saying some pretty negative things about this person. Mm-hmm. So I mean, how do you work around that?
Oh, I don't. One thing doesn't lead to the other, but I would defend the person because I was hiring an aide to an office, and this person actually was overqualified by experience.
He used to be a prosecutor.
And a clerk of court. And I hired him to do legal work and work in my office representing people at the Board of Appeal and the licensing board. So he was actually overqualified for that position, and he did a fabulous job.
Now, the Globe story said that you didn't exactly read the court decision about his firing.
I knew more about it than reading the Globe. I knew more about the court decision. I knew what happened. He went down there and he took a position that was slated for somebody else that was from the neighborhood, and he had the knives out the minute he got down there, and it was an unpleasant situation for him. And he's someone I've known most of my life, and he's a person of good moral character, and I took a chance and hired him. And the Globe didn't like that.
Well, coming into the Registry of Deeds,
yeah.
If you're elected, is there something you'd like to do differently there?
There's a couple of things. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Mickey Roach, who was a colleague of mine on the city council before being elected register in 2002. And Mickey has a competent, capable staff that works very, very hard over there. And I would be inheriting that staff, so to speak. So you don't need to rewrite the rule book. You've got a good, competent management staff. You need to change some of the. You need to update some of the website, I guess, so that you can do more online. And that's a technology challenge that each and every Registry of Deeds is facing now as we get into a more mobile society. And that would be my focus.
Well, have you tried using it? Have you've noticed anything? Yeah, have you noticed anything?
You can't use it as well on a phone as you can on a computer. And most people are using mobile devices now as opposed to sitting down at a computer. So I'd like to get easier access from your mobile device moving forward.
I've heard some of the other candidates talk about making this more almost like a consumer advocacy location, because there are people who can get in trouble with some real estate transactions without understanding them. Do you think there should be anything more of that nature?
Well, there should. There are a lot of people saying a lot of things. Keep in mind the budget is about $1.8 million. It's 93% of the budget is personnel driven. The others is for the other parts of the budget are for the technology pieces. So you're not going to get that great of an increase from the State House as you move forward. So I don't know how many grand ideas you're going to be able to put into play. I would simply say that the office is well run, and we can focus on improving technology and bringing the office to the neighborhoods and the cities and towns in Suffolk County, and getting out there and getting the office more involved and more familiar with people that are going to use it. And there's a way you could increase communication to prevent foreclosures by working with the mayor's foreclosure team and getting the data from the Registry of Deeds more quickly over to the mayor's office because they're trying to fight foreclosures and blighted problems all across the city and the county, and getting that communication fostered would do well.
We're talking with Steve Murphy, candidate for Register of Deeds in Suffolk County. You know, when voters look at these choices, and I've interviewed most of them so far, we've had people who have background in record keeping for land. There are people who are attorneys, people who have experience in real estate, sometimes people who are both attorneys with real estate experience. Yeah. With all of those backgrounds, why is being a former city councilor any better than those?
Well, because the three things that I bring are public management, which none of the others, I believe, bring. There are some attorneys and some other folks that have mapped in GIS work and stuff, but none of them managed a public agency, and I have successfully managed a public agency. Number two, for 20 years, I excelled in constituent services, and customer service and constituent services are a part of this very job, in fact, the fabric of it. And the third piece that I think is equally important is I'm the only one of the 7 candidates that actually worked at the Suffolk Registry of Deeds. And that was in the mid-1990s before I became a city councilor. So I'm familiar with the office and what it does and how it works. And again, it's security of title and security of your mortgage and making certain that that's done correctly and right and on a high-speed basis so that the funds from the deeds excise tax get to the people that they're intended to go. And I believe I'm head and shoulders above the other 6 in terms of public management and being able to lead and run a public agency, which is what the job is.
One thing that has been changing of late is that who holds the title to a property or controlling it, especially in the event of foreclosure, can be pretty murky sometimes. Anything you think you want to do about clearing that up?
Well, I'll just make certain that it's done well by my agency when I become the Register of Deeds.
Right. And what about the constituent services? Because how do you see that coming into play with this office?
I think you need to raise the profile of the office, and that's why I said to go into the neighborhoods and go locally, and to be able to do the transactions in Revere, not have everybody schlepp to the Brook Courthouse to do their transactions, and bring them to Revere, bring them to Winthrop, bring them to Chelsea, and bring them to the neighborhoods of Boston, and dovetail and communicate with the mayor's office of foreclosure prevention to make certain that we know if there are certain lenders that are withholding funds and acting unscrupulously, that we're on top of them from day one. And sharing information is our strongest bet at that.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Chris.
Candidate for Register of Deeds in Suffolk County, Steve Murphy. Still to come, a legal dispute over drug testing for Boston police officers. But first, this message.